Module 5, Name Screening and Conclusion. A final aspect of language conversion, and a very extremely important one, is to evaluate your company name, product names, slogans, and taglines to ensure that they work in other major languages. Huge multinational companies have literally spent millions of dollars launching overseas and then totally bombed abroad without first considering this very fundamental and very inexpensive insurance. For example, in 1988, the multinational General Electric created a joint venture with the UK firm Plessey Telecom. They abbreviated their new company by the initials GPT. None of these companies' highly paid marketers considered that when one pronounces GPT in French, which is GPT, it sounds exactly like the words for I have farted. Not terribly appealing for a corporate name. Name evaluation also applies within dialects of the same language. Spanish in Spain differs from Spanish in Argentina. Portuguese in Portugal differs from Portuguese in Brazil. My favorite examples of gaffes within dialects of the same language is a commercial for a Swedish vacuum cleaner manufacturer, which I first saw on South African television. The TV commercial had been launched in the UK in British English and was highly successful. The manufacturer then aired it on Commonwealth countries, in Commonwealth countries in Africa, which also used British English, and again, they had great success in selling their vacuum cleaners. After that, the manufacturer entered the US market on Miami television with the same successful British English commercial, expecting enormous success from our far larger market. And the commercial totally bombed. The reason? Because of one word in British English that had a slightly different meaning when expressed in American English. The multinational slogan of the Swedish manufacturer's commercial was very simply, "Nothing sucks like Electrolux." The moral of the story, of course, is that when you are launching your course, your book, your brochure, your video, your audio, your website, and so forth, into a country that uses another dialect of the same language, the name evaluation advice applies just as equally. What works in American English may not work in British, Irish, Australian, Indian, or African English, and the name evaluation within dialects or into key languages is a very inexpensive way to find out whether it works before making huge international investments that could create blunders, which frankly will add to our collection of bloopers. In a similar way, if you are presenting a list or an order form with blanks to fill in referrals names, it is fine in the Western world to present 4 of something. But in Japanese and Chinese, the word for 4 sounds exactly like the word for death. As an analogy, in English, we have 3 words that are pronounced there. Over there, they are, and their books. And 2 words that are pronounced see. I see, I observe, and see the ocean. So in those Asian cultures, one never presents 4 of something, but instead presents 3 or 5 of something. Beyond the words, if you have a cover design or product, you should absolutely ask your language agency to evaluate your packaging, your names, and your colors, which may have very different or negative connotations in other cultures. Procter & Gamble, a very famous American manufacturer of Pampers diapers in the US, had used the image of a stork on its packaging. As you probably know, American babies symbolically are delivered by storks. So when P&G used its same stork image in Japan, its sales were abominable. This huge multinational firm with its legions of highly paid product managers neglected to realize that babies in Japan are symbolically delivered not on storks, but on giant peaches. Again, a serious global branding blunder, which an inexpensive evaluation could have easily prevented. So before embarking on your international journey, ask a language agency to evaluate your company name, your product names, your service names, your slogan, your taglines, and your packaging and so forth into 10 major world languages or the languages of 10 countries which you are planning to enter, either now or perhaps within 5 years. And the test should simply be, is the name easy to pronounce in the target language? Does the name or slogan need to be changed in any way? For company names and product names, do you want to keep the English name in other countries? For example, if the company name is Sun Oil, do you want to keep Sun Oil in other languages? Or do you want to translate the word for sun and oil, or use the pronunciations of the words, even if they have no meaning in the target language? This is particularly important when evaluating names in Chinese, when other evaluation criteria should be considered. And finally, for the evaluation, does the name, the slogan, the tagline, or the image have any negative or offensive meaning in the meaning or connotation? If the negative results emerge, you can decide now, before launching expensive overseas marketing campaigns, whether you want to keep the name or the slogan or change it to something that is more appealing globally. As I hoped you've realized, translating and interpreting is much more than simply converting words, which AI solutions alone often get wrong. The process can involve preliminary screening of company names, product names and taglines. The process can involve determining what the writer or speaker intended to say, questioning if something is unclear, converting graphics, dates, currencies, punctuation, and names into the target language format, which often differs from English, and global marketing issues such as product design, label design, and colors. But when translations and interpretations are done correctly, using professional master's level linguists, you can gain increased exposure, far greater impact, and additional lucrative revenue streams for many new and exciting markets, whether among immigrants at home or audiences overseas. Vielen Dank, merci bien, xie xie. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Gracias algo. Mille grazie. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigado. And thank you very much for your time and attention. We hope this course has been beneficial and welcome your comments and evaluations.